In 2024, Bulldogs come in all different colors and patterns, especially the Frenchies. And some of those colors and patterns are much more premium, will cost you 2-3 times as much. So it's important to know which colors are the more premium colors. So if you're looking to buy your next Bulldog, or you just want a better understanding of the different colors and how to read the DNA profile associated with them, then this video is for you. We're gonna go over all that, and by the end of this video, you'll be a much more informed Bulldog buyer. So understanding the different colors of the Bulldogs is very important, but it shouldn't be the only factor that you use when choosing your next Bulldog. There's other things that should come way before what color you choose when deciding on what Bulldog you're gonna buy. Like the program you buy from, the health, the temperament, and the type of the dog, and then the color. But today, we're gonna focus on color. So this little guy is a black and tan Merle. So a black is gonna be a more standard color, where this female here is gonna be a premium color. She's an Isabella. She's fluffy, so that's a more premium coat length. We're not even gonna get into the coats really today. We're just gonna try to stick with color. But she's a premium color. She's an Isabella in tan, Merle, fluffy. So not only is she premium, but she has the different patterns on top of the premium color. So a puppy like this is gonna bring a much higher premium price. So in this video today, I'm gonna explain to you the different colors so you can understand why this puppy costs so much more than that first puppy I just had. All right, this video is gonna be good. For a second there, I was thinking it's kind of basic, but there's a lot of little differences that I've never really heard too many people talk about. So this is gonna be a really good video, even if you do already have a general knowledge of colors. So let's start with the standard colors and on the A locus. On the A locus is where you'll find fawn dogs. Fawn's a very popular standard color. Fawn is not just a color, but it's kind of like a tint. So you can have fawns of all different colors. Fawn is represented by AY. Fawn is a dominant gene. All dogs carry two genes, one from the mom, one from the father. When you have a dominant gene, you only need one copy of that gene for it to be expressed visually. Whereas a recessive gene, you would need two of them. One would need to be passed down from the mom, and one would need to be passed down from the dad for it to be displayed visually. Most of the genes I talk about today are gonna be recessive. There's only gonna be a few that are gonna be dominant genes. So also on the A locus is where you'll find the tan point gene, which is, I would call it a pattern. Tan points are exactly that. It's tan points on the bottoms of the feet. You'll see it around the butt. And if it's a maskless dog, you'll sometimes see it on the face. You can produce all different colors of tan points, blue and tan, chocolate and tan, lilac and tan. Sticking with the A locus, next you have AA. So fawn was AY, tan points AT, and then if you see double A, AA, that just means nothing. And when you see AA and you have no other color, you get black. So I like to call a black dog like a blank sheet of paper. If you have absolutely no color, the dog's gonna be black. So black's not really a color. Black is like the lack of color. Black just means there is no color, so the dog is gonna be black. Let's stick with talking about a couple of the different patterns. Let's talk about brindle. Brindle is on the K locus. Brindle will be displayed as KB. Brindle is another one of these genes that is dominant. So just like fawn, brindle, you only need one copy for it to be displayed. So that's why sometimes people run from brindle and they want to breed to a dog that has no brindle, because they're trying to produce a color or a pattern that they don't want the brindle to cover up. So that's the only reason you'll hear, well, there's a whole history that goes into the whole no pied, no brindle, and I'll get into that on another video. But mainly, it's a dominant gene, so people are more selective to breed to that gene. Okay, I'm not perfect. I left one out. I probably could have thrown on a white shirt and tried to edit it in there a little better than this, but you know what? I'm gonna just be honest with you guys. I'm a very transparent person, and that goes back to what I said earlier about when choosing your next Bulldog, the most important part of that decision is what program you choose, and you want to choose a very transparent program. They should have nothing to hide, and they should want to show off everything they got going on. Unfortunately, most breeders, you're probably never even going to see their face, let alone their facility or the way they take care of their dogs. So keep that in mind when choosing your next bulldog. Trindle. Trindle is what I left out. So when you have the DNA of a brindle dog and the DNA of a tan point dog on the same dog, you get what's called a trindle. So I told you brindle is a tiger striping pattern. The entire body is going to be a tiger stripe pattern. Tan points, the tips of the paws are tan. Well, when you have a trindle, the body of the dog will not display the brindle pattern. The brindle pattern will be displayed on the tan points. Since it's such a small area, you're not really going to tell that it's stripes. It's just going to look dirty. It's going to look like dirty, blotchy tan points. But what it is it's the brindle striping being displayed on the tan points and not the body. So that's what's called a trindle. The other one you hear a lot about, another pattern, is pied. Pied, though, on the other hand, is not a dominant gene. Pied is a recessive gene. So you need two copies, one from the mom and one from the dad, for the dog to be visually pied. Visually pied means the dog is going to be more than 50% white. The dog will be covered, more than 50% of the body will be covered in white. That is a visual pied dog. Then you have Merle. Merle's the patchy, spotty pattern like I showed you on those two puppies. That's Merle. Merle is another dominant gene. Fawn, brindle, and Merle, I think, are the only three dominant genes we're going to talk about. Everything else is recessive. So Merle is another dominant gene, meaning you only need one copy for it to be displayed visually. And it's a gene where you want to only have one copy. This is the only gene that can create health risks if you have two copies of it. If you only have one copy of Merle, there's absolutely no health risks. If you have two copies of Merle, now you are risking eye, vision, hearing problems. So you always want to only breed a Merle to a non-Merle so that you'll only have the one copy, and that's all you need is one copy for it to be displayed because it's a dominant gene. Now, all these colors that I just mentioned apply to bulldogs and French bulldogs, English bulldogs and French bulldogs. Pied, brindle, fawns, blacks, black and tans. These are all English bulldog colors and French bulldog standard colors. The tan points is an out of standard pattern. Merle is an out of standard pattern, but pied and brindle are standard patterns. Black's a standard color, fawn's a standard color. Now, there are some weird little differences between some of the French and the English bulldog color DNA, but so far everything we talked about is the same. The only one weird difference is, and I can't understand this, so if you know the answer to this, truly know the answer to this and can explain this to me, I would love to hear it in the comments. For some reason with French bulldogs, you can have one copy of tan points. So a dog can be ATA, ATAY, and you'll still see the tan points. If it's ATAY, that fawn is very dominant, so it's going to wash most of the tan points out, but you'll still be able to see it. If it's ATA, the dog could look solid color, the A, or the dog could be visually tan points with the AT. Generally, it's going to be a more faint tan points, but still it is displayed visually. In English bulldogs, you need two copies. It has to be an AT dog for it to be displayed visually. Also, in English bulldogs, you call it a tricolor, a blue tri, chocolate tri, black tri. In French bulldogs, you refer to it as and tan, black and tan, blue and tan, chocolate and tan. All the experience I've had, one copy tan points doesn't show up on a bulldog, only two copies. So I haven't been able to figure that out. Hopefully someone can help me out with that. Now let's talk about bulldog colors. So we're talking about English bulldogs now. English bulldogs, one of the most popular colors in both breeds, the blues, the grays. I want a gray one. I can't tell you how many times I hear that from clients. I want a gray one. I like the gray one. Let me get the gray one. They're referring to blue. Blue is referred to as the dilute gene, so it's on the D locus. And when you're reading this DNA, so D represents dilute. If it's lowercase, the gene is present. If it's uppercase, the gene is not present. So if you get your DNA report and you see 2 uppercase D's, your dog doesn't carry blue. If you see 2 lowercase D's, you have a visually blue dog. If you see 1 lowercase d, 1 uppercase D, then you have a dog that carries blue. They carry 1 copy blue, but blue, like I said, everything else we're going to talk about now are recessive genes. So you need 2 copies, 1 from the mom, 1 from the dad, for it to be expressed visually. So if it's just a carrier, it would be whatever other color is expressed. But the blue will not be expressed with only 1 copy. Also in English Bulldogs, they have a chocolate gene, and it's the Rojo chocolate. It's the B. So uppercase B, the dog doesn't carry it. Lowercase b, the dog has a copy. 2 lowercase b's, the dog is a visual chocolate dog. Now the B chocolate, the Rojo chocolate, is the chocolate that they used to refer to as testable. You used to hear the terms testable and untestable chocolate. Well, now you can test for both. So those are old, outdated terms. We don't use those no more. Testable chocolate is the B, and it's Rojo chocolate, and that is the typical chocolate in English Bulldogs. Now, I have heard about cocoa chocolate running in English Bulldogs, but that's about as far as I've gone with it. I've only heard about it. I haven't gone down that rabbit hole to figure that out and what's going on with that. But typically, a chocolate English Bulldog is going to be represented by the letter B, and it's the Rojo chocolate. It's a more red chocolate, and it used to be referred to as testable chocolate. Now, if you take that visual chocolate dog, 2 lowercase b's, and that visual blue dog, 2 lowercase d's, on the same dog, now you have what's called a lilac dog. When you have a visual blue, visual chocolate dog, visual blue DNA, visual chocolate DNA on the same dog, you have a visual lilac dog. So it's the mixture of the 2 colors gives you the color lilac. So there's no gene that represents lilac. It's both genes being present visually, 2 copies, because they're recessive, to make lilac. That's about as far as the colors go with English Bulldogs. Oh, you know what? I skipped over cream. I almost totally forgot. Cream is a standard color I should have talked about already. And you know what? Cream's a very important color. So cream is very unique from all the other colors. And cream is found in, I think it's found in English Bulldogs. I'm not for sure. You don't see it a lot, but I'm pretty sure there are cream English Bulldogs. There's definitely cream Frenchies all over the place, whitish, yellowish color. You know what I'm talking about. So cream, it's also recessive, needs 2 copies to be displayed. But here's the thing about cream. Cream covers everything. Cream covers everything. So you can have a blue, a black, a lilac, a chocolate, I don't care what color that dog is visually from the DNA, 2 copy blue. So it's a blue dog. But you can have 2 copies of cream. Cream is represented by E. So if you have 2 lowercase e's, cream is going to be displayed visually, and cream covers everything. No matter what other DNA is on that dog, it's going to be visually cream. So you can have, sometimes you'll hear the term blue and tan covered in cream, a chocolate covered in cream, because that means it's a DNA of a chocolate dog, 2 copies chocolate, but then it has 2 copies cream, and the cream covers it. All you visually see is cream. So if you're buying a pet, this isn't going to matter to you what DNA is under it. You really just probably care about how it looks if you're not breeding it, because there's no reason for you to. And then that's where a color comes in, like platinum. So if you've ever heard the term platinum or the color platinum, if you're a pet owner, it's visually going to look cream. There's no difference. There's no reason for you to pay platinum money, because platinum is a premium color. Cream is a standard color, standard price. Platinum is considered a premium color. You're going to pay a premium price, and it's only for breeders. And why would breeders want it so much? Because a platinum is a lilac dog, visually chocolate, visually blue, visually cream. Cream covers the lilac, but that is what a true platinum is. A platinum dog is a visual blue, visual chocolate, visual cream. It's a visual lilac, covered in cream is a platinum dog. So I almost skipped that, and I'm glad I didn't leave that out because cream's a very unique color. Cream covers everything. So besides that, those are pretty much all the colors in English Bulldogs. English Bulldogs, you have the tan points also, you have the Merles also, you have the pieds, you have the brindles. And then you have the Rojo chocolate, blue, and lilac. Now we're gonna switch over to the Frenchies. With the Frenchies, you also have blue, dilute. Lowercase d, 2 copies because it's recessive, and you get a visual blue Frenchie. Now, the popular chocolate in Frenchies is cocoa chocolate, formerly called untestable chocolate. Everyone just calls it cocoa because now you can test for both. So cocoa chocolate is your common chocolate in French Bulldogs. Here's where it gets weird. In Frenchies, a lilac dog is the dilute, the blue dog, and the cocoa chocolate dog put together get you a lilac in Frenchies. So a lilac in Frenchies is different than a lilac in English. Lilac English is dilute and Rojo chocolate. Lilac in Frenchies is dilute and cocoa chocolate. Those are like your step up. So we first talked about the standard colors, blacks, fawns, brindles, pieds. That's kind of like your standard lowest tier of pricing. Your next tier is like your blues and your chocolates. Your next tier is your lilacs and your platinums. Your next tier is kind of a big step because it's so much newer. It really only started showing up about 3 years ago. And it's the Rojo gene in Frenchies. So that common chocolate, the B gene, Rojo, testable chocolate in English, it's a very premium DNA color in Frenchies. So Rojo chocolate is going to be on that premium, and it's represented by B, 2 copies lowercase b. You have a visual Rojo dog. It could be Rojo and tan. It could be Rojo brindle, whatever. Now, if you mix that Rojo color with blue, so you have a visual 2-copy Rojo dog, 2 copies lowercase b, and you have a visual blue dog, 2 copies dilute, lowercase d, on the same dog, now you have an Isabella. This is one of the most premium colors in Frenchies. It's called an Isabella. It's a light chocolate, like a light milky chocolate, and it comes from mixing a visual blue dog with a visual Rojo dog. The combination of those two gives you Isabella. Now, if you take a lilac Frenchie, the visual blue and the visual cocoa, and you throw the Rojo on top of that, visual Rojo, so now you got all three, visual Rojo chocolate, visual cocoa chocolate, visual blue. Now you have a new shade Isabella. Sometimes it was originally referred to as a lilac Isabella, and new shade kind of became the more popular term. So they call it a new shade Isabella. The only other shade of chocolate would be the lack of blue. Now, if you don't have 2 copies blue, so you have a visual Rojo and a visual cocoa chocolate, I call this a double chocolate because it's both chocolates. Some people are calling this new shade Rojo. I think that's a silly term. I think double chocolate is a much more fitting term. It doesn't change the color too much, but it's a really cool, unique color. Probably one of the most rare combinations out there. Which one is the most expensive? I don't know. I mean, you could say new shade Isabella has the most value. There's a bunch of DNA that you can do things with. That gives you a bunch of options. But sometimes deleting DNA is hard. And so some of these colors you got to delete genes from. So a double chocolate is probably more of a rare combination because blue, so many dogs have blue. So they're all kind of on that top tier of your top tier premium prices. And then as you mix the premium colors with the different patterns, with the tan point, now you're up another level. Now you throw the Merle on top of it. Now you're up another level. Now you throw the coat, the fluffy, the long hair on top of it. So that's how some of these prices on some of these dogs climb so high because they're stacking DNA traits. They're stacking more rare DNA traits on one dog, and it brings that premium price up. And that's pretty much all the colors and patterns you really need to know about. There's some new stuff going on right now that's a little bit weird. You got the pink going on, you got the husky coys going on. I don't even feel like getting into those because it's a whole nother rabbit hole, and Tell you the truth, I haven't really gone down that rabbit hole yet, and I don't want to talk about things I don't know. But I do know someone who's pretty educated on the pink, so I think in a future episode I'm going to have him on, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the pink gene. But for right now, that's all you really need to worry about. I explained the differences on some of the colors between the Frenchie and the English. The common chocolate on Frenchies is cocoa. The common chocolate on English is the rojo. For some reason with English, you need 2 copies of that AT to be visual, where with Frenchies, you only need 1 copy of the tan points and you'll get a visual. The lilac is different. English Bulldog lilac is rojo with blue. Frenchie lilac is cocoa with blue. Most genes are recessive, so you're gonna need 2 copies to make them visual, but certain ones are dominant, like brindle, fawn, Merle. I think that's all of them. So those are the ones, those are the dominant ones you gotta be more aware of when you're doing your breedings, but definitely doesn't mean to run from them. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you liked what you watched today. If you learned something, hit the like button for me. Click that little bell, make sure your notifications are turned on. I got a bunch of exciting things happening. Little Debbie is pregnant, so I got an in-house breeding from Magilla Gorilla to Little Debbie. So I'm gonna have Frenchie puppies available, chocolates and lilacs. I just did an in-house English Bulldog breeding. I have a new stud here at the Bulldog farm. I haven't even given him a solid name yet. Still playing around with names, but he's a year old, already working, micro stud, 10 inches tall, super tiny. He's shorter than my Frenchies. Wait till you meet this little guy. I just did a breeding with him in a brand new chocolate Merle female. So lots of exciting things happening here. If you're interested in puppies, BigBoneBulldogs.com. If you want to learn more about how to be a professional dog breeder, breedlikeapro.com. The links to both of these are in the description. Thanks for hanging out with me again. I hope you guys got value out of this, and I'll see you next time.